it occurs to me the funniest thing that they could probably do right now
大変参考になりました。これからどうするかみんなで考えます。
is that she would admit
さあ、本当に
that
ありがと
she's
う。
not actually Teresa.
じゃあ、
She's what's her name from
すいません。
Iskander, and Kodai and her
あなたは
brother have
残ってく
decided
だ
to
さい。
start swinging. So she's pretending to be some other woman. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, and we're back with another episode of Space Battleship Yamato. We come back as we normally do with notes, comments, and a board. So let's go look at that board real quick. Where the only real change is that I marked Zaval as dead. I guess technically, I'm just thinking right now. The element here is that the relationship between the Comet Empire, which I know has a real name here in the show, I can't remember off the top of my head, and Gamulus may have actually changed due to the machinations of Sabera. Also, the thought that was actually originally coming to my head is that I have different boxes for different things in different shows. One of them that's coming to me is that Legend of the Galactic Heroes, we have an Arrested box, and I'm thinking that, do I need to bring that over for Dessler? How often is that going to happen? Is it like too late? Is he going to break out this episode? Like, I just considering now that I may have wasted the only opportunity. Anyway, that is the board that is. On to notes. I really don't get what's going on with Savaval's forces. He's here as a dedicated force to keep the Yamato crew away from Teresa, except all he has are tanks and a handful of men. No air support or anything, and he keeps all the ground troops out of the fight to just focus on armor. Even as his tanks are getting overwhelmed by ground units taking advantage of the terrain, he doesn't call in his own ground units. They get left behind to guard the cave entrance with little to no tell that they even know what's going on outside of standing orders to not let anyone pass. I think the most egregious thing is that they never attacked where the second shuttle landed. Kodai just had all the time in the world to assemble the launcher that took out the majority of Zavaval's forces. I like the confidence with which Rosella is blaming Dessler for Zavaval's abandonment and death. He thinks that Dessler could have taken the Yamato, and Zavaval would have been fine had Dessler not run, as they all believe he has due to Sabera's meddling. I like it particularly for the fact that Dessler was rescued from death, specifically due to his failure to defeat the Yamato, so everyone believing that he could do it seems incredibly misplaced, no matter how much I enjoy Dessler as a character. It's crazy that they arrested Dessler and then just let Talon go free. Even more so when it sounds like Dessler is plotting with Talon in front of the armed guards about having their time later. I mean, I get it. Can't really arrest all the remaining Gamlis fleet in one go. Seems like you'd arrest the other Gamlin on the Comet before he finds a way to communicate with the Emperor, though. Only so long as this ruse can hold up. Though, the level this is being played at, I'm surprised Sabera just doesn't order their ships to open fire on the Gamlis fleet, and then claim that they turned on them or something. It feels like she could get away with that. I hope we don't do something stupid like make a love triangle with the bouquet being given to Teresa, or worse yet, a jealous Shima arc where he gets pissed at Kodai for, doing that. And relatively short note section because most of the episode was actually just the ground battle, which, don't really have much to say there other than what I already did. So Teresa and antimatter. If she's from this planet, then she can't be antimatter this time. Otherwise, everything would have gone up in an explosion when the Yamato crew landed, or, technically also when the Comet Empire landed. I suppose she could just have been visiting this world and then got trapped here when the Comet Empire came through. That might be a more compelling story. Would also allow us to keep the antimatter bit. Suppose we'll find out this episode when Shima shows up, or if she touches the flowers. Alright, as I said though, we do have a comment, as always, from Kellen Winslow. Bionicle, haven't heard that in a while. My niece enjoys building Legos, just got her some of the nice flower sets that they have made. At least they don't wilt like the flowers Yuki gave Kodai here, lol. My mistake on getting the two Star Trek games confused. The FOSSA game was made around the same time that they made Battletech. It was called Starship Tactical Combat Simulator and was around from the early 80s to around the late 80s before FOSSA lost the license. You can look it up. It has a similar sheet you use to keep track of your ship and power, shields, weapons, etc. You'd play it on a giant hex map and even made little pewter-like ships for it you could use instead of the cardboard ones they gave you. Great game, but the rules are pretty involved. Maybe not quite as much as Fleet Battles, though. I mean, yeah. The thing is that your description makes them sound like the same game, but I think that's the difference maybe between Task Force games got its start basically in pocket gaming, which is to say, it took all of the stuff you're describing from Foss's game and boiled it down to a rule set you could put into like a rule thing. Sorry, my brain just stopped working. Into a thing you could put in your pocket. So you had like a little baggie of those little cardboard squares. You would play it on a hex map anyway, but I don't know if there was an implication you put that in your pocket. Anyway, and you put the other thing in your pocket. I was literally just talking to Lessons the other day about Starfire, another game that they have made, but you didn't have the I don't know what you call it, SSD, I believe it's called, the sheet with everything on it. But you don't have that. You would literally just keep track of your ship in letters, which is to say, you have like a little nonsense sentence that would be your ship. S is for shields, A for armor, L for laser, M for missile, I for I think ion engine, and then as it went on, they explored more ship systems and more mechanics and whatnot. But it'd be like some like I don't know SSAAA LLIIII. So your ship would move with the number of eyes your thing had. You could shoot as many weapon systems as say L's or M's. Shields handled thing what missiles? I think missiles went through shields, but they impacted armor, and lasers went through armor, but they impacted shields. Something like that. So yeah, you would just like okay, you take 5 points of damage from a laser attack. So it's like okay, 1, 2, 3, all my S's are gone. It goes through the armor. That means I also lose both my lasers. Something like that. And it's like, okay, I'm going to move first. I have 3 eyes, so I move 1, 2, 3. Super easy. I love it. I've never heard anyone else who even fucking knew the game existed. I also like the Common Empire's music, although when I hear organ music, I think of Rick Wakeman and his stuff he did for the prog rock group Yes. I do agree that the main theme should have been changed, or they could have just played an instrumental version of it. I believe they do that in 2002. I mean, I think I've mentioned the same thing like 7 times now. However many episodes we're in, I believe I've said it that many episodes. And when I think of organ music, I think Phantom of the Opera, even though ironically, in Phantom of the Opera, the one I'm more familiar with is a guitar. So, the tanks here could have been inspiration for the ones in Gundam. I love Gundam, but I'm not enough of an expert to know. I think what I'm thinking of are the Earth Federation tanks that appear in both Origin and Igloo. I do not believe that I've seen them in any other of the Gundam Universe Century shows. A lot of Saito's people got killed here, but there are seemingly as many as they need. I'd like to know exactly how many people are on the Yamato here. Even the original Star Trek made a point of talking about how many crew members there were, and Kirk got pretty mad when they lost people. I would like to see something similar with Kodai here. Even Macross made a point of talking about how many people were lost on the ship as they went from Pluto back to Earth. Yeah, I guess we're working with the Voyager rules, which is to say Voyager had exactly as many of anything it needed in any particular episode. You know, I think it's the thing I compare Yamato to mostly. The idea that Voyager was out alone by itself, unable to get resupplied. However, I think it lost more shuttles than it ever could have possibly held. The same thing with like photon torpedoes and whatnot. So once again, Saito just ignored Kodai and yelled out he would rather die on the ground. Great, please do. Get this guy out of here. His complete disregard for any kind of authority is really wearing on me. At least he took a few tanks out as well as the commander, but really he's just too annoying for me to praise even when he does something useful. At least the Doctor is a better character. Well, yeah, I mean, also, I didn't put it in my notes, but the Doctor literally got told, hey, you got work to do, you should stop drinking. And he's like, puts it back. Like, the Doctor has become the wise man of the group. I think I even mentioned that to Lessons. And Lessons and I talk about random bullshit before we record, so. But my point about not showing the city inside the Comet Empire still stands. I agree with you that the shenanigans going on inside are interesting, but they could show all that stuff without revealing the city. They did it in this episode. That being said, Dessler is a complete badass here. This one scene makes up for him coming back from death twice. Well, maybe not all, but it's still cool. He wasn't fooled for a minute, and he even looks cool going down to prison or whatever they're taking him. I mean, I don't know that he looks badass. It's just, I don't know. The element is it's not a two-way street, right? Dessler has faith in the Emperor, that he knows who the Emperor is, and this is not something the Emperor would do. Now, unless the Emperor is playing Sabera, and later on he's gonna, like, shoot her or something, I don't know. He seems like he's fooled, which is not great. Anyway, when I look at Dessler in his current situation, I think of Gladiator, right? Specifically the scene where he thinks he's about to get his freedom because that one guy from his troop finds him. You know, the moment literally before he goes out and finds him and he's sitting on a horse and it's a trap and he gets hung. I kind of just feel like Talon and Dessler are in that scene. The Emperor, on the other hand, seems pretty gullible. He didn't strike me as being like that in the film. He had his hands on the wheel and no one was going to stop him from doing what he wanted. I really hope he's not just a fool here. So I guess I should have just read your next sentence, but I saw the break and I thought that was it for your thought on that one. Either way, thanks to what's going on with Dessler, this is the most I've been interested in the show. Although it has taken 14 episodes for them to get this far, I have a feeling that we'll be rushing through things at the end at the rate they are going through here. Yeah, this is what, 24 episode, 25 episode? 26 episode. So yeah, 12 episodes left. I don't know, kind of on the fence here about how much shit we have left to get done. And the stuff that they've created for us to get through. They can still do it. They can still do it. And they better not be pulling any romantic triangle stuff with Yuki or Kodai here. I've had my fill of that nonsense from Across Delta and other shows. Have a good one, Theta. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned, I think last time, the threat of the love triangle. But like I said here in my current notes, the threat of the love triangle, I feel like, is more that Shima gets jealous. Because you remember every time he shoves the actual communications officer off of the thing just to talk to her, what's he going to do to the captain? The captain hands him a bouquet of flowers. Hands her a bouquet of flowers. And you know he's going to get there late because he wasn't there at the meeting to begin with, but implied to be on his way. So, anyway, that was the notes, that was the comments, that was the board. So let's go ahead and hop on in and see what we get.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button.
Comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this, unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
All right, here in the opening, I have to say, one slight annoyance I'm feeling is for some reason Space Battleship Yamato seems to have a different, I think I mentioned this before early on, Space Battleship Yamato seems to have a different aspect ratio going on than the last season did. And that could just be the recording version that I've got. But where it comes into play is the element that I'm also watching one of the show at the moment that's in the square aspect ratio that this is, and that's Fafnir and the Azure. Well, I kind of had to make a completely different overlay for Fafnir and the Azure because of the way that I'm using a TV recording version of that season, which means I've kind of moved of the two shows using the square format. The very specific overlay element that I'm using, I have to move them back and forth every time. It's very annoying. And I kind of forgive Fafnir. Yamato is the annoying one. recap here too. Which is the element that I'm getting annoyed by Yamato in very specific ways, which is to say all of my listing for episode names, no matter where I look, are the Star Blazers names, which are not the real names. I'm watching Yamato, I want the Yamato names. Seems like your flowers got regenerated there, Kodai. Also, don't believe that they were full-on red roses before. Oh, we're suspicious of her, are we? It was brought up really early on that this could be a trap. That's not the same flowers he had before. I mean, it would be great if this was not the Teresa that we know from the movie at all. That this actually is a trap. He's not on his way at all. He is wasting time. I guess he took our hero's words to heart. What if she doesn't like you? Yeah, you go ahead and take her to prom. I mean, I guess we did this in season 1, right? With Kodai's brother. Yeah, especially you with the gift. I don't know, any chance to abandon the rookie would be great. Just maybe he doesn't have the flowers anymore. Oh no, now they're in his hand. So many. What do you call it? The person who's in charge of making sure that the scenes flow together without mistakes between them. Well, you know what they say, people in glass houses. Just stare at each other for a bit. I feel like she's gonna be a robot. There's 2 of us left. Okay, rude, but alright, whatever. Maybe this is a trap. I mean, if she was a robot, it would explain how she could be alive and the rest of the planet be dead. Does that explain the previous scene, or did they just replace the flowers he was holding earlier with the already regenerated flowers? Continuity. That's what I was talking about. This is a continuity issue. I guess he did legit just kick them all off of the shuttle.
これが食いもんかうわ、こりゃうまい果物だぜ。
わいわい、おいらなんか七色ぶどうだもん、ほら。
And yet, can't eat.
どうかしたんですか？
人が来ます。
え？
I guess she doesn't actively have to control that. That Urashima knows how to do it his own.
僕、宇宙戦艦ヤマト航海長の島大輔です。
あなたが島さん。テレサです。
やっぱり想像した通りの人だ。
待っていました。では早速こちらへ。
おい、行こう。ちょっと待ってくれ。
She's like waiting for the first person to like answer to her on the radio.
現在、白色彗星はテレザート星へ3000光年、地球へ23000光年の位置を120万宇宙キロで航行しています。
Oh shit.
その直径は6600キロ。
Now I know there's going to be math in my note section next episode.
星が潰されていく。
あれはただの彗星ではありません。基地として利用できる星を見つけると容赦なく侵略していくのです。あの白色彗星は宇宙の征服の旅をしている彗星帝国なのです。
I know, Helen Winslow was already pointed out in the comment response how disappointed they are to have seen the city and everything. I have to believe that when this came out, they expected their audience to have already seen the movie. So it always takes me like half a second to figure out, okay, green is the Common Empire, blue is Gamulus.
ズオーダー五星大帝の輝かしい戦果を。
To who?
ゾーダ大帝在位1年、ゼラーム星雲制覇、同2年パラジウム星団制圧、同3年グラスダー星征服、同4年ドライゼ星制圧。
タラン、いよいよ銀河系へ踏み入ろうというおめでたい晩餐会で何をしょげている？ですら相当の分も楽しんでゆくがいい。
Why would they even let Talon be here? Talon could like shout across the room.
ですらそうと。
Let the Emperor know.
会社はいないのか？一度もシーツを変えていないではないか。こんなところで私が寝ていられると思っているのか。
Dude, I sleep sitting up. So.
諸君、数日中には銀河へ突入だ。そして50日後にはあの美しい地球が我が手に入るであろう。
It's very weird to me. The beautiful Earth, yeah. Been a year out since radiation bombardment.
テレサ、それであの彗星の軌道は
Yeah,
つか
to
めたん
Earth.
で
We
す。
just fucking told you.
あと4日でテレザート空間、46日で地球へ到達するでしょう。
46日で。
What a dumb question.
まともにやんのか。
テレサ、教えてください。どうやってあの白色彗星を止めればいいんですか？
Sure, yeah, ram it with Yamato, and then I'll help you with antimatter.
これだけです。
チェ、なんで？結局一番聞きたいことは何にもわからねえってことじゃねえかよ。わざわざこんなところまで呼びつけといて。おい、口を慎め。
What's your plan here, Saito? To beat up a random alien woman?
ありがとう。で、
No, she's not antimatter, otherwise he would have
僕たちに何
exploded.
かできることがあったら言ってください。テレサ。
いいえ、何も。
しかしテレサ、白色彗星はあと4日でテレザート空間へ達すると言ったでしょう。
これでお話は終わりました。さあ、お帰りなさい。
来ない。
It occurs to me, the funniest thing that they could probably do right now.
大変参考になりました。これからどうするかみんなで考えます。
Is it she would admit that she's not actually Teresa? She's what's her name from Iskander, and Kodai and her brother have decided to start swinging, so she's pretending to be some other woman because they look exactly the same.
じゃあ俺たちは先に帰ろうぜ。
それじゃ島。
Yeah, because we know where Earth is. We don't need you to navigate back.
あなたにはもっともっと私を理解してほしい。
変わった人だな、テレサは。
完全ではないが、新しい情報が得られたんだ。アナライザー、直ちに地球防衛軍本部に今度の資料を送ってくれ。
はい。
Because now we can just communicate from wherever
防衛軍本部
in
の判断を
outside the galaxy.
島さん、この空洞惑星の都市がどうして滅んでしまったかわかりますか？
いや、実はそれを聞こ
I
う
mean,
と
there's
思ってま
legit
した。
crashed ships in there, so
かつてテレザート星は荒漠とした宇宙の中のオアシスのような星でした。宇宙を旅する船はこのテレザートへ立ち寄って旅の疲れを癒していったのです。ところが各都市は繁栄のリーダーシップを取ろうとしていさかいを
was she
始
like
め
a
つ
brainiac
いには
of the
戦いに発
civilization?
展してしまったのです。私は戦いの払う犠牲の大きさに驚き、ただひたすら祈り続けました。
Well, it was that crashed ship that I must have seen.
その祈りの中で私自身と私の使うメカニズムに恐ろしい力が備わっていることに気がついたのです。
So I guess I was right that she was just visiting here? Because otherwise this would be their own tech. I guess that's our solution to being antimatter. We're not antimatter now. Now she just has weird tech.
残ったのはこの荒れ果てた世界だけです。もう二度と破滅の虚しさは味わいたくありません。
テレサ、その力を我々に貸してくれたら、いや、あなた自身が白色彗星に対して使ってくれたら、すべてがうまくいくじゃない
Yeah,
か。
we'll send you to the comments so you can pray.
いいえ、それがどんな相手に対してであっても、私は二度と自分の能力を使ったりはしません。
しかし、このテレザート星が滅びてしまったとしてもですか。
そうです。
Kind of feels like that TNG character.
私があの能力を使え
The
ば、
one where his wife
テレザー
died
ト星は救えても、
and
相手
he
に
like
犠牲が出
unleashed
ます。
godlike power to kill an entire species of people, billions of people in an
テレザー
instant.
ト星や地球は滅びてしまう。何万何千という犠牲者が出るんだ。
Well, there's that praying that you said you wouldn't
一緒
do.
に戦おう。テレサ、あと4日もしたら白色彗星はこの空間へ達する。あの発光ガス体へ吸い込まれてしまう。テレサ、僕は君を見殺しになんかできない。ヤマトへ一緒に行きましょう。そしてみんなと一緒に考えましょう。
私は生きたくあ
Also,
りません。
again, the real oddity that they've included the naked version of her in the end credits for no reason.
じゃあ僕はこれで。
島さん、やはりあなたも行ってしまうのですね。
僕はヤマトの
Starsha,
御役人です。
sorry, Starsha was her name on this gander. Starsha made so much more sense than Teresa seems to. Then again, Starsha wasn't like getting over the guilt of having accidentally killed a. I feel like she's implying a planet, but it seemed more like a city.
いえ、まだありません。
防衛軍本部もそう簡単に結論は出せんだろう。ショッキングな情報だからな。
I mean, was it? It was just like the timetables on the Comet Empire ship. Sheen was the only one that got that extra information.
とぼけちゃって、テレサのことだよ。なんだかすごい力を持ってるのに我々に協力しないそうじゃないか。
山本、直接彼女に会ってもいないのにいい加減なこと言うな。
ところが斎藤がちゃんと報告会を開いてくれたんだ。
How does he know? He left before that information got shared, and it was only shared with Shima.
起きろ、斎藤。
おお、校外長、今お帰りかい。
おい、斎藤。テレサのことだがな、デタラメを言いふらすんじゃない。
おお、校会長さん、やに彼女をかばうじゃねえかよ。所詮テレサは宇宙の人よ。俺たちの仲間じゃねえ。
黙れ！お前にテレサのことを言う資格はない。いいか、二度とテレサのことを口にするな。
待てよ、校会長。目を覚まさせてやるぜ。
Let me see it grit those teeth. Sorry, just dealing with it, how quickly it devolves into a slot fight. Okay, there we go.
またかい。もうわしは止めんぞ。思いっきりやっとれ。治療だけはやるわい。まったくなっておらん。喧嘩してる暇があったら少しは考えろもん。
島君。
校会長、新しい進展はありましたが、テレサはどうだったんですか？
いや、彼女の態度は
See, again, how do they have to ask him how it was, but also they know all the information that she only shared with him?
本当か、島。
ヤマトにも水星帝国にも味方しない。
チェ、意外と勝手だな。
ほら見ろ、誰だってそう考えるんだよ。
そうだ、彼女は勝手な人間の代表かもしれない。しかし、
That's pretty
それは
cute.
自分を大事にするってことだろう。
Pretty cute that he's like, fight and like, see, everyone says the same thing. And he's like, hold a grudge about it.
自分を大事にできない奴が他人を大事
It's a
にでき
win
ると思
moment
う
for
か。
Saito, very
彼女
minorly.
の態度は間違っていない。人間にとって大事な出発点なんだ。そうだろう。だが、自分を大事にするというのは実は意外に難しいことなんだ。それも一つの戦いさ。彼女は今それを戦っているんだよ。そうだろう。
I legit do not.
早
His
速だが
uniform change?
ヤマトからの情報とは。
So his face change? Oh, never mind, different character.
早速
I was thinking of that guy. Also, it's the Andromeda captain.
地球より小さな星ですが、超重力エネルギー
Yeah,
の
I
ガ
know
ス
who
が
this
足らない
white
と
suited guy
万
is.
一これ
I
が
thought
地球
he
に
was
ぶつかれ
the
ば
the leader
地球は
of the defense.
跡形もなく消滅するでしょう。想像もできん。
So I know who this guy is.
46日で地球に到達する計算になります。46日。極めて緊迫した事態です。
You know, unless they encounter something tempting on the way to Earth.
残念ながらその通りです。
Or they stop at Teresa longer.
現在の戦力ではとても。アンドロメダ級の戦艦が10隻以上必要ではないでしょうか。
Which they're already working on.
それで防げるか。はっきり申し上げられませんが、それまでに間に合うか。あのアンドロメダを水星の地球到達前までに完成させるとなると、たった今からすべての工場をアンドロメダ製造に切り替えねばなりません。
And, you know, cut corners and all that shit.
人類を守らねばならない。長官、やるしかないだろう。
艦長代理、地球から通信が。
ヤマトの諸君。ヤマトがテレサから受け取った情報は敵の細かい部分についてなおも不明のままだが、もうこれ以上待っているわけにはいかん。直ちに地球へ帰還せよ。
地球へ帰還ですって。
以上だ。待っているぞ。
It makes sense. We gotta draw the line in the
帰還い
sand.
たします。
All ships RTB.
答え。総員に伝える。宇宙時間午前6時、地球帰還のために出航する。すべての準備にかかれ。
I understand this is just the return to base moment. I feel like it's more crew than we've seen on the ship. Except for when we're showing off the cavalry guys or the brief parties that we have in the cafeteria.
これからはお前の力に負うところが多い。しっかり頼むぞ。
任せておけ。
Well, that's you can just talk to her on the way back.
Yamato ヤマトは地球帰還命令に従って出航準備にかかっていた。その間にも白色彗星は圧倒的な力を示しながら、
So I was wrong. I thought Dessler was going to try and make an escape.
テレサはヤマトはどうなるのか。
Okay, I guess we're just going to leave her behind. But again, the element that I'm anticipating that this might end the same way or same-ish way that the movie did. In which case we're going to invoke her and call her back to the very end. And not for nothing, her little home there seems to be a spaceship. So we always fly out to wherever they're at. I still just don't know why Talon didn't take the time to force his way into conversation with the Emperor. Because he could have let the Emperor know what's going on with Dessler. And I guess the element is if the Emperor is playing dumb to try and force Sabera's hand, that could come to light. Otherwise, if he is just stupid and ignorant, as he seems to be, it could be that would reveal that, right? But Talon did nothing but sulk. So we had no opportunity for anything to have come from that, which is the disappointment there. And I guess the element that even though Dessler is super on the back foot compared to, I don't know what you would compare to, the beginning of season 1, where he's living the high life. Even in that situation, to say, oh, they're not even washing the sheets. And then, how am I supposed to sleep? It's a crazy, crazy take from Dessler. Again, the guy who was, until recently, floating dead in space. Him and Commander Shepard are my two go-tos for this sort of revelation. Is there anything else? You know, off the top of my head, it's the weirdness of the relationship that they're all going to have with Teresa. But obviously feels like something's going to come of that next episode. Yeah. I think that's basically going to be it. I think I had a good running commentary over everything that happened. Don't really have anything to add there, and certainly nothing that would add a subject line like the previous seasons had. So, yeah, I think that's going to be it. So, once again, I have been Theta. This has been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe and let us know what you thought about this video and what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?